Hello，大家好啊！今堂會繼續同大家講 useful vocabulary and phrases for common writing themes. Topical vocabulary and useful phrases for the writing topics of short stories elective. To enrich the story writing, learn the following vocabulary about the setting and character descriptions. Vocabulary for color. Apart from using basic color names, what else could we use? Burgundy, 酒紅色. The dark red marble-like red of wine made in Burgundy, France. Indigo, 靛藍, a native plant of India. The blue writing ink was made from this plant. Chestnut, 綠色, a nut. Its flesh is yellowish brown. It's a common color of hair dye. Satin gold, 沙金, a light brownish gold color. Clover, 三葉草或者四葉草啦, a four-leaf plant which is moderately green. For example, the study room was decorated with burgundy wooden panels and clover window drapes. On the desk, there lay a diary with satin gold letters printed on the cover. Peter, the chestnut-haired octogenarian, opened his diary, dipped his fountain pen into the indigo ink, and started writing another page of his memoir. Show one's true color. To show the real identity, belief, or intent of a person who has been dishonest. For example, as the secret documents turn public, the politician shows his true color. With flying colors means with distinction. And these colors refer to flags on ships. 出色地. For example, Jane passes her HKDSE with flying colors. Vocabulary for walking. Promenade, 散步, to stroll or walk in leisure or in display. Tiptoe, 踮着腳尖行走, to walk quietly with the tips of the toes touching the floor. Tread, 踏, to step down on, to crush underfoot. Charge, to run, rush, or attack. Trot, 快步, trot of a horse, to walk briskly. For example, on one Sunday afternoon, we spent our leisure promenading a nearby seaside village. It was full of holiday goers. Some kids charged down the boardwalk, a few teenagers horse-trotted like Psy. Rather than joining the crowd, we trod down the dirt path, tiptoed inside a quiet cafe, and spent the rest of the afternoon there. All walks of life, from various social, economic, or ethnic backgrounds. For example, Hong Kong is an international city. People around the world from all walks of life live together. Talk the talk, walk the walk. When one talks about a plan but does not act accordingly. For example, this politician has no credit. He always talks his talk, but never walks his walk. Vocabulary for eating. Munch, 用力咀嚼, to chew vigorously, usually with noise. Nibble, 輕咬, to bite off pieces, to chew gently. Devour, 吞食, to swallow or eat up hungrily. Connoisseur, 鑑賞家, a person who critiques fine art. Gourmet, 美味, having high quality or exotic ingredients. For example, inside a gourmet kitchen, you can find two types of customers usually. Connoisseurs, nibbling and tasting, versus gluttons, munching and devouring, the same delicacy. Eat one's word, to violate one's promise. For example, don't eat your words. Dad, we are supposed to go to Ocean Park today. You have promised. Eat someone out of house and home. To eat so much that to run out of someone's resources. For example, Jenny loves fine dining so much that she would sooner or later eat her boyfriend Jimmy out of his house and home. Writing exercise. You and your friends recently went camping for one night on Lantau Island. Sleeping in the tent was very scary. The pictures below show some of the things that happened during the night. You want to write a short story about the camping trip. Write the short story describing the scary things that happened during the trip. It's going to be fantastic, exclaimed my friend Leo about our one-night camping trip on Lantau Island. When we arrived at the scenic campsite on a pleasant spring evening, my other friend Tim and I had to agree. However, we had no idea how frightening the night would be. Everything was fine during the delicious barbecue. It was only when we decided to go to our tent to sleep that the scary events started to happen. Snap. "What was that?" whispered Tim. It seemed to be the sound of a wild dog stepping on a stick just outside our tent, but I was too afraid to say anything. All I could do was point at the dog's shadow through our tent. A few seconds later, we all jumped up and screamed because there was a sudden crack of loud thunder. A thunderstorm with whistling winds and heavy rain hit the campsite. The dog disappeared, but our fear remained because we were sure that we were soon going to be blown away. Luckily, we survived the terrifying night. The next morning, in contrast, was extremely calm. However, when Leo suggested going camping again the following week, Tim and I only had 2 words for him: never again! Task 1. You may add details to the story and expand it to 400 words. When you're done, you may show your answer to your tutor for marking. Task 2. Underline the useful vocabulary in the story. Your school has decided to have a short story competition with the theme, "I am the last animal of my species." You want to write a short story for the competition, imagining that you are the last animal of a particular kind in the world. Write the short story stating what endangered animal you are, explaining what happened to make you the last animal of your kind, describing how you feel about being the last animal of your kind, and suggesting what people can learn from your situation. And so below begins. "Be very still, George," whispered Alan, my older brother. "There are some people behind those trees and they are hunting us." Of course they were hunting us. That's because we were young, healthy tigers with beautiful fur on our bodies. Some rich men in another part of the world were paying these people to come to the heart of the hot Indian jungle, our home, and to kill us for the skin on our backs. When our mother, Mrs. Chan, told us about these hunters a few years ago, neither Alan nor I believed her. We simply couldn't believe that our fur would be important to anyone else but us. "Where are all the other tigers then?" she asked us. "When I was your age, there used to be so many tigers in the jungle, but you haven't seen any other tiger but me since you were born, have you?" That was true. Besides Alan, my mother was the only other tiger that I'd ever seen, but her story still seemed unlikely to us. Shortly after our mother told us this unbelievable tale, she was shot and killed by some hunters. Alan and I hid in the trees, and from there we watched sadly as the hunters cut our mother's skin off and left the rest of her on the floor of the jungle. We followed the hunters quietly to their camp to see what was so important about her furry skin. There we were stunned to see that they were passing it around and trying it on as a coat. We were being killed so that we could be used as clothes. "That will never happen to us," Alan promised me that day. Now the hunters were back, and they were looking for us. My heart was starting to beat faster because I could feel them getting closer. Alan sensed my fear and looked at me with a smile. "Run far away from here, George, and never look back," he said. Before I could understand what Alan meant, he jumped out into open view. The hunters saw him immediately and chased after him. I was in shock, but I did as my brother had ordered. Soon, though, I heard the sounds that I didn't want to hear. Gunshots followed by cheers. As I started to cry angry tears, I knew it was too late for us tigers. For all the other animals, I could only hope that people would come to their senses one day soon. And highlighted are some of the sample useful words in the story. Whispered. Were stunned to see. Chased after. Cry angry tears. Come to their senses. Exercise. Now it's your turn to write the same topic. I am the last animal of my species. Please write a story about this theme, and the marking scheme will follow the HKDSC marking scheme, out of 21 marks. And talk to you next time. Bye-bye.